What's up, everybody? We are here at the closing segment of the show. It has been quite a day. So welcome, everybody, to the last little bit. It's not going to be a full hour long. It'll just be the last few words that I feel like I should say to everybody here. I was really hoping it would turn out well, and God, man, it turned out wonderfully. All the guests were absolutely excellent. I couldn't have had a better lineup of people to talk about and Final Fantasy 14 and their passions and just bring it all together. And it meant a lot that they all came on and could be part of the show today. I did write a list of things that I do want to go ahead and tell you. First, before I do that, holy shit, like, thank God that we have so many awesome artists in the Final Fantasy 14 community that make wonderful music. I jammed to it a good bit. I didn't know how everyone else was going to respond to it, but I'm really happy you guys enjoyed it as well. I'll put the list up and how to kind of find some of these people on YouTube, although the music won't be on YouTube because I think I'll be clipping that. Maybe I'll include it, but it feels kind of weird to have 15 minutes of music, then the segment start. But we'll see. We'll see. I think that these guys all work really hard, and I do want to go into depth and tell you. Let me see if I can find, at least get a list of their names all for you, because I did have it written out. Alex M. Mukalaka, I think. I can't. Oh, why can't I say it? He did I'm Alright Funk. I'm too crazy and tired to remember it all. But he also did the Final Fantasy VI Terra's theme, Skyrim Orchestra cover, which we played here on the stream. Andre Kane, who does the intro for the show. I played some of his music here from Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII and Chrono Cross. Duda You Know, who's really good at just kind of lo-fi synth arrangements for Final Fantasy XIV. We did some of their music. We also did it for Husky. You guys should know Husky by the Geek by now. If you don't follow music covers at all in Final Fantasy XIV. You should check them out. Infinite Rivals music, I believe we used some of theirs in there too, which has a mix of just all kinds of like epic metal covers and so on. Aburo, who is an artist that I spoke through with Google Translate, allowed me to use some of their 8-bit chiptune music. You should check them out. Plus one of a wonderful person who I've had the pleasure of doing shoutcasting with, also does a lot of really cool remixes, and you should check out his channel. You could just type in +1 Final Fantasy 14, and I'm sure you would find it. Ride Hot, who did a decent amount of the EDM remixes that you heard today. And I can't say your name, Vari. I'm just going to say Vari, who does a lot of the piano covers that you guys heard today, which were absolutely fantastic. And it's just been a pleasure to be able to let you guys listen to them. I will probably be playing music for the first 30 minutes of every MogTalk from now on, just so I can help display some of the work that they've done. And they definitely don't get enough attention. That being said, I also want to thank all the guests. Mr. Happy, Sly did a wonderful start to the show when we started talking about State of the Realm. And kind of just, or State of Final Fantasy 14, of course, they're from State of the Realm, and just kind of discussing where Final Fantasy was at the moment. I feel like we did that pretty well. And then, of course, Arthas and Zeno joined us from jail to discuss Party Finder. It went more on a rant about people using strategies from different guides and everything else, but that's kind of what we do here, and I think that it was actually a really enjoyable show. Hopefully we have some lessons we can learn about adapting new strategies that are more optimal later on and not sticking to the same one. And then we also had a great show from Layla and Sophia talking about the world race and kind of what we're going to be doing in the future. It was kind of more of a little bit of a meeting, too, so we can discuss how we were going to do it, because it is something that is a passion of mine and theirs, and it's cool to see where it goes forward. And I do want to thank, of course, Brian Ricardo and Mateo for coming on and talking about Feast, which, again, another big passion of mine that I don't feel like ever gets enough attention, and I wanted to talk about the Feast community because has been played a big part of my life, and it meant a lot to be able to take a little bit of time to do that, and I appreciate you guys sitting through that. For those that might not be as interested in Feast. Then after that, brought on, of course, Larry and Drac to finally do the Chocobo Racing episode, which was turned into a lot about Gold Saucer and how Drac wants to breed chocobos. That's his big thing. But I think that it's important to understand how Final Fantasy works and how this content comes out, and interesting to see how it gets left off sometimes. And of course, our last segment here with both Ethis and Anonymous, wonderful, wonderful people who I've had the pleasure of doing many different lore and story episodes with, and so bringing them on meant a lot to me to be able to speak to them again. So thank you to all of those guests. Thank you to the musicians. Thank you to Sakuri for the new logo. I hope you guys like the logo. I don't know if you guys can tell me how you feel about the logo, but it is something that I felt was proper for the show, as it has more than one Moogle, and it is definitely something that I wanted because I wanted something that brings us together. And so definitely wonderful artwork by them. And then the next thing I want to thank is, of course, Anu Hannah for the artwork that she did for me, which was the commission of everybody kind of coming together and doing MogTalk, and just a big group collab of what the show has been over the years. And it made me tear up a little bit the first time I saw it. But yeah, it's been a hell of a show. It's been 6 months since I've done this, and I already feel like I'm back into the thing. back into the way of misspeaking and awkwardly making it along and enjoying the presence of all you guys. And again, I want to make this clear. This is a show that you and I make. The people who watch the show, the people who come on the show. It's not me. It's definitely we. I did say at the beginning of the show that we would talk a little bit about the future of MogTalk. We do have some new MogTalks planned. Already next week's show is planned. It is something that I feel like people would like to hear, which is discussing healers. We will be bringing on Momo, Oriza, and someone we haven't had on the show before, which is going to be a goal of mine, is always to try to find people who have been on the show before and try to at least get more people introduced, which is Salted Levy. And so we're going to have a healer discussion and talk about, any kind of what has been happening recently. There's been a lot of discussion. I won't go too much into it, but there's been a lot of discussion on healers. And so I feel like it would be interesting to see how that works out. And then after that, there is a couple people content creation-wise I do want to bring on. We don't have set schedules for them, but I have talked to Jumbop, who is a fantastic guide maker who makes very beautiful guides that hasn't really talked too much to the community. I wanted to learn more about them. So in the future, we'll probably have an interview with him. And also, we're planning a show with Alex, who did a lot of the music that you guys heard on today's show. And we're going to see, he's done so much. He's talked to the lead singer of the Shadowbringers theme. I can't remember. Why can't I remember the name of him? I'm just so out of it right now. And he's also done a lot of really cool musical analysis. Although the time zones are pretty weird, so it's kind of harder to get him on. So we might be doing something a little bit different. Yeah, Jason Miller. Thank you very much, Jason Miller. And then there's so many other topics that we have. There's going to be job discussions. There's going to be story discussions. There's going to be just off-brand discussions. There's going to be topics about what's going on in the community and how people are reacting to certain things, and just deeper discussions. And I plan to just keep going as long as we can, because I do love doing this, and it means a lot. You may have noticed before, I have made some really stupid YouTube videos when I was on break because I was bored and I just wanted to create something. We may be doing that in the future too. We may be trying to make some stupid YouTube videos. It depends how it all works, but maybe not. And then there is other content. We are doing weekly content, something that is not MogTalk, that is completely unrelated to Final Fantasy XIV. I have two friends that I've known for years, and we're trying to make an effort to go through our backlog of video games that we haven't completed. And so it's it's a fun little show that I enjoy doing with them. We do it on Wednesdays, a completely different time than MogTalk. Wednesdays at, it might be 6 p.m., starting this next Wednesday at Pacific time, where we just discuss what we're doing with single-player games, and whether it's a recent game or one that we had to go back and play, and just discuss them in depth. It's just a nice little chill conversation with literally no structure to it at all. We do have the World Race coming up, so you could expect that to be happening on this channel. I think that we will be doing a charity event, as we were talking with Layla earlier today. And there's always the possibility, there's been a couple of rumors of maybe doing some D&D on this channel. We don't know. We don't know. But I'm trying to get into D&D as much as I can right now. And so I may even be DMing, and I don't know. I'm not an expert. I haven't had a lot of experience with D&D. But there's been a lot of interest between a handful of people in the Final Fantasy XIV community that wants to do D&D, and we may be doing something. So we'll see. I don't want to make any promises, but I'll throw it out there like a Yoshida talking about Blitzball, I guess, and maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. And I do want to say the Final Fantasy XIV Progress website is kind of on hold right now as we work on these other projects and everything else. I may work on it at a very slow pace, but I don't want to make that completely my focus because there's so many other things that I really want to work on right now. Pilata, maybe I need to DM you. Absolutely. And there is a couple of other things that I do want to say before I go off air. One main thing, and I'll notice, it talks about something that you don't really get to talk about. I have my own opinions about Twitch and streaming and everything else. And I noticed, of course, you guys, there's actually a good amount of people who sub today, and it means a lot. It really does mean a lot that people sub and support the channel and everything else. But that's not a requirement for this show in any shape, way, or form, or anything. There is no requirement. I was doing a sub VOD, sub restriction on VODs, just so people would have some benefit, and it'd show up on YouTube next 2 days, so there's not a lot. But never ever feel there's any requirement. That's why I went to school, is to make sure I have a stable job that doesn't require any financial means from Twitch. Of course, I use it, and I will make use of any support you guys give us. And this is something that's been pretty important to me, because I hear this stuff all the time, and it's sometimes people say, all right, well, yeah, the sub's like a cup of coffee, right? But fuck, man. Have you ever had a cup of coffee from Starbucks, like a pumpkin spice or something, like on a really, really difficult day? If I know that you buy a cup of coffee instead of doing a sub for me, and it made your day, that would mean so much more in the world to me. So if you guys want to sub, of course, I will appreciate it. It means a lot. I'll put it towards my student loans and other things for the show and everything else. But in the end, it means a lot to me if you guys are happy and content, and not losing out on anything else that's going on with your life. So that being said, to kind of go back into it and everything else, guys, we will be back next week. We do have a regular show. So we're going to do a massive show with billions of topics and everything else going on. It's going to be just a regular show where we're talking about healing for 2 hours, and then we'll be out and done. This has been a blast. But I am a little hungry. I just want to say thank you again to all of the guests. We brought on only 12 of the 186 guests we've had on this show. And one interesting note about that too, Arthas, by coming on the show today, is now the most recurring guest we've ever had on MogTalk. I think he's been on, if I'm right, 26 episodes now after he's been on the show today. Interesting little stat. Thank you to all of you guys who watch this show. Again, I want to say it is our show, and you guys make it for what it is. And I do have to give a shout out to my wife, Kiara, who has supported me in so many different ways and puts up with me and my hobbies, and to me losing a little bit of time. And what the fuck is this? Okay. I have a cake apparently from my wife as I was thanking her for the show. This was not planned at all. This looks like a very healthy cake that she made, and it looks beautiful. It looks wonderful. I'm gonna probably eat this cake. I had no clue any of this stuff was going on. I'm gonna go give some attention to my wife because she means the world to me, and I wouldn't be here without her for sure. So I hope you guys all had a wonderful day today. It's been wonderful. I've missed you guys, and I'll be seeing you next week. Take care, guys. Remember to be good, keep cool, and of course, never forget to stay frosty. Bye, guys.